Dean Pullin very quickly. I just wanted to remind you guys, hopefully you got an email, you all should have, about the student satisfaction survey. It takes 2-3 minutes tops, and we really value your input, so please take the time to click on that link and fill it out for us. You have until the 27th, and we'll be sending the link out again in case you can't find it, or you can shoot me an email. My name's Natalie Kinty, and I'll make sure you get it. Dean Pullin, it's all you.
Okay, great. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for taking some time to have what I hope will be a real conversation with me and your fellow classmates. I think it's an important conversation because today we're going to talk about the purpose statement for our college. And it's our college. It's not your college. It's not my college. It's not our faculty's college or our alumni's college. It's our college. And the point of this conversation is to make sure that as we move forward that we do it together and on the strength of the best ideas and on the strength of our collective energy as we work every day to fulfill this purpose. And we can't really do that unless we unlock the full potential of this energy and the purpose together. And conversations like this are important to that. How could we move forward together if we didn't have the chance to come together and really talk about where we are as a college and where we're going? Today is a step in a long series of conversations that's been occurring. I've been involved in many of them with individual faculty members, individual staff members, student leadership in a variety of different capacities. Conversations I've had with our alumni and our board of advisors as a college, many people across the university, across our state who care about the Price College. And upon analysis, we've had really an awakening in that we have the opportunity to think of ourselves today as not just a performance-based organization. That's all about, these are the metrics that typically define what colleges and businesses across our nation look like. Where are we ranked? What's our research productivity? How many degrees do we award? Even though those are all important metrics and we continue to look at them and make sure that we're performing in a good way against them, at the end of the day, we can't lose sight of the fact that we are the second largest college at the University of Oklahoma and the largest professional school at the university. And because we're a professional school, we have the opportunity and I believe the obligation to enhance the impact of our profession, the profession of business administration, on a place and a people. And we're defining that place and a people as Oklahoma and our nation. And I'll explain why we're defining that in a moment. So we have a higher calling. We have the performance metrics, but we have to really answer the question: why do we exist? The metrics are what we do. We do these 25 things and we kind of do them well, or we don't do them well, and let's improve how we perform against them. That's what we do. But essentially, if I'm having a conversation with a prospective student, maybe some of you are involved in giving student tours, you're talking to maybe a high school senior, and you're trying to convince her to come to the University of Oklahoma's Price College of Business. Or you're having a conversation with their broader family, and they're facing the prospect of maybe having to take out some student loans and put some of the family finances at risk in order to give their young student the opportunity to pursue higher education. Or we're talking to maybe a state legislator, an elected official, about why it's important to continue to fund public higher education. Or we're talking to a prospective employer and we're saying, here is not what we do, but here is why your company has to be at the University of Oklahoma, has to be recruiting Price College of Business graduates, and on and on and on. We can't just roll out the laundry list of stats, even though we're doing well, and those are important, and maybe we'll talk about some of those later in this conversation. We really have to focus on why. Because if people understand why you exist, and they believe in that purpose, they can connect with that purpose, and they're going to lock arms with you. If they believe what you believe, then they're your co-conspirator. Right? And if we have a collection of co-conspirators, as we do increasingly inside our hallways, with our faculty and staff and students, and then we expand that to prospective students and families and lawmakers and corporate citizens, then we'll all be united in a common purpose. And we can move forward together purposefully, and I believe with more impact. But to do that, it all starts with sort of a guiding principle. And for a number of years, we've had a mission statement at the college, and it's very well written. It has some important words in it. There's nothing objectionable about the mission statement, but at some level, it could apply to any college of business, at any university, anywhere in the country, maybe anywhere in the world. But again, we're the second largest college and the largest professional school at the state's flagship research institution. The public, in many ways, invests behind us. And increasingly, there's an expectation that higher education will translate that investment, that public investment, into a return. And so it's with that mindset that our executive committee, executive faculty leadership, has adopted a purpose statement for the Price College of Business. And so we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about what colloquially we call the purpose of Price. Why do we exist? Why do you engage in the Price College? Why do I choose to build my career at the Price College? Why does a family send their young person to the Price College? What's the purpose of Price? And I can tell you that after a lot of conversations over the last year that I've been involved in, again, faculty and students and others, we've gotten it down to one slide. And in many respects, today, you could argue we're a one-slide college. And everything that we do, every action we take, every course we teach, every problem set we assign, every extracurricular you participate in, every faculty member we hire, has to support that purpose. And increasingly, I believe, the balance of our activities do support that purpose. So it's a lot of pressure to put on one slide, but we're going to give it a shot. And I brought that one slide with me. The purpose of Price. One sentence. Everything that we do at the Michael F. Price College of Business ensures the enduring global competitiveness of Oklahoma and the nation. That's simple. Everything we do, when you graduate, when companies come to campus, when we perform research, when we have events and outreach, has to in some way make Oklahoma and our country more globally competitive in an enduring way. So how do we do that? That's why we exist. How do we do it? We do it in three big ways. We tackle the big issues. We generate business insights against those issues. And above all else, we prepare the future leaders to deploy those business insights against the issues that matter into practice so that you can improve upon them. Why do we tackle the big issues? Well, the plain reality, and you've heard some of this, I'm sure, the plain reality in higher education today is that 1970s, roughly 50% of our operating budget was publicly funded. There was a deep public subsidy that kept the cost of higher education low on a relative basis. Today, the percentage of our operating budget that is publicly funded is 16%. So just over a dime and a nickel on a dollar of what it takes to deliver a world-class higher education is publicly funded. There's a lot of reasons for that, and we work very hard to minimize the impact of that on our students. Because the easy answer to offset that decline is to jack up tuition. And many universities have resorted to that. And yes, you have witnessed and experienced some modest tuition increases here at the University of Oklahoma. But last October, the Washington Post did an analysis of the 50 flagship public research institutions across the United States We compared the relative increase in tuition over the last 5 years. And I'm proud to say the University of Oklahoma at 4.4% had raised its tuition the least of any of the public flagships, according to the Washington Post last October. So we've had to incur modest tuition increases, but that hasn't been the primary driver of how we've made this work. And so we have to think about it in other ways. We have to behave in many respects more entrepreneurially as a university and as a college of business. And in fact, we're a college of business, so that ought to be in many respects in our wheelhouse. And oh, by the way, over the course of that time, administrative overhead at this university, I think even since the mid-90s, has fallen from 10% of our budget to just under 5%. So we've had to cut back and find cost-cutting mechanisms even at the administrative level. But because of the fiscal shifts in how higher education is funded, and because of our insistence that we take our role as a public institution of higher education seriously and have to keep the cost of obtaining a college education low and reasonable, we have to shift our mentality from investing in 1,000 ideas at once, and letting 1,000 flowers bloom, planting seeds everywhere kind of in a populist way and just celebrating the things that pop up and are beautiful, to being much more of taking a posture more of a market actor, really looking at what are the issues that matter the most. How do we bucket those issues? How do we prioritize those issues? How do we still make bold investments, but in an increasingly targeted way? And one of the metrics to use to think about, well, how do you decide, is to focus on the things that matter the most, that'll move us farther and faster in fulfilling our purpose to ensure the enduring global competitiveness of Oklahoma and our nation. And so what are those things? What are the big issues? Well, today we're focusing on 5. Education. It's who we are. We're an institution of public higher education. We have 5 very strong academic divisions in our college, and we're working hard every day to examine how we deliver education. How do we enhance learning outcomes? How do we recruit faculty that can make a real difference by bringing their research and insights into the classroom and provide a 21st century education that's going to matter to you? Economic development. We're going to ensure the enduring global competitiveness of Oklahoma and the nation. Well, we have to be an economic engine for OU and Oklahoma. And so we've been fortunate to bring in to the college in the last several months the breadth of OU's economic development institutions. Today, we're able to combine the six traditional tools to grow and diversify an economy under the administration of the Price College of Business. For the better part of the last century, we've had a program called the Center for Economic and Management Research. It is, amongst other things, the institution inside the Price College that prepares and advocates for forward-looking economic policy to ensure a robust business climate inside of Oklahoma and across the nation. So having something to say about the policies our state and nation should put in place that will foster economic development. And we've been doing that again for most of the last century. We've also brought in the Office of Technology Development, which is the entity charged with patenting and licensing intellectual property that's generated through OU research activities, both faculty and student. So patenting our ideas and then monetizing them and bringing dollars in from oftentimes out of state to help capitalize what we're doing as a university and as a college. The Center for the Creation of Economic Wealth, working arm in arm with our Center for Entrepreneurship and our nationally ranked entrepreneurship program. A lot of these activities are about another lever of economic development. Business creation. Creating things that didn't previously exist. New headquarters for Oklahoma. new jobs, and not just any job, but knowledge-based jobs, right? That lift standard of living and quality of life for everyone. And then a focus on public and private partnerships. We have resources that are designed to foster robust corporate engagements, to leverage assets like the university's research campus, which is just south of the traditional campus by the Lloyd Noble Center, where the National Weather Center is located. And then our newly acquired University Research Park in Oklahoma City, which strategically sits in between the healthcare industry and the energy sector in the state's capital. We work hard every day to foster robust public-private partnerships to perform 3 of the traditional economic development levers. Business recruitment, maybe finding companies from out of state, or maybe even internationally, bringing them to Oklahoma with their jobs and economic prospects. Taking the companies that are here and making sure that we're doing all we can as a university through talent and programs and facilities to retain the companies so they don't go somewhere else. And then thinking creatively, what are the programs we can put in place, the incentives we can put in place that will help grow those companies, right? Additional dollars and jobs. So whether it's company recruitment, retention, expansion, company startup, intellectual property monetization, or ensuring a robust economic climate on the back of thoughtful, balanced policies. Price College today is very well positioned to be an agent of growth and diversification for Oklahoma and our nation's economy. Globalization. If we're graduating students today and tomorrow without an appreciation for the global business environment, without the perspective, without the appreciation for inclusivity and a diversity of ideas, without, in many cases, the direct experience of pursuing your degree of choice in an international environment, then in many cases we're preparing you incompletely. I believe that having an appreciation and increasingly direct experience in an international context through study abroad programs, or perhaps even using technology to bring the world to Price and maybe take Price to the world, connecting the global community as part and parcel of your education, is as foundational as teaching you how to build an Excel model, or write a pithy business memo, or maybe making sure you can add, subtract, multiply, read, and write. All business is global. Even if, say, you graduate from the Price College of Business and determine that your business is going, I'm going to grow corn in Oklahoma, and I'm only going to use water that exists in Oklahoma and sun that finds its way to Oklahoma, and the soil as it lies, and all of my customers are only Oklahomans. Right? As insular a business as I can think of, and maybe there's a better example. Nevertheless, even though your business is all Oklahoma all the time, you're not the only person in the world selling corn. And your customers have to make a decision whether or not to buy your corn against the array of options they may have. The majority of which, if not all of which, will benefit in some way from the global supply chain. You're going to be competing against others who have figured out how to use bits and pieces. Maybe it's internationally manufactured fertilizer, or maybe a lower cost of labor from another country as they harvest corn grown somewhere else. Today, in the global supply chain, customers have options. And so even if your business isn't on point a global business, which is increasingly rare, the success of your business is tied to your ability to compete internationally. And if we as the Price College of Business don't put globalization at the forefront of everything we do as a big issue to tackle, then we're preparing you, in my view, an unsatisfactory and certainly incomplete way. Energy. Over 13% of GDP, perhaps historically the most important industry in Oklahoma and this part of our country. one that is benefiting tremendously from the types of advances that occur in higher education, research innovation, be it hydraulic fracturing, horizontal drilling, the types of things that have really created this economic and increasingly geopolitical revolution for our country. It's a big deal. Many of you have had internships with energy companies. Many of you are thinking about orienting your careers toward energy. And as the flagship research institution in the state, and as the largest professional school within that institution, if we don't have a laser focus on the energy industry, frankly, we're missing the boat. Oh, by the way, what industry has the bigger need for people like you? There's generational gaps in the workforce in energy. And so young graduates will have outsized opportunities at junior stages of their careers than perhaps in other industries you could choose. Whether it's the technological breakthroughs that universities can facilitate, or it's the professionally trained workforce that can fill the talent needs of these growing energy companies in this sector that is so important to where we are today, on the back of which is driving an economic and geopolitical miracle for their country. We have to focus on energy. We have 5 distinct programs today that do that. Many of you are familiar with the undergraduate Robert M. Zinke Energy Management Program. It's actually now today the largest single major in the college. At the MBA level, we have a concentration in energy for our full-time students. The same at the professional MBA level, which we run out of Oklahoma City in newly expanded facilities, by the way. Our executive MBA in energy, which is largely an online delivered educational offering for existing energy executives, maybe 10 years into their careers. Or a 1-week boot camp, the Executive Energy Management Program for rising energy executives, maybe from technical backgrounds who want to spend 1 week working with our faculty to get up to speed on the broader issues facing the energy industry. Or the research leadership we're displaying through our Energy Institute and many of the outreach opportunities like our annual Energy Symposium that's bringing dozens of CEOs and hundreds of executives from this sector right into our corridors, giving you the chance to interact with the private sector in new and interesting ways. The type of research where the Department of Energy has now given us 4 consecutive grants to weigh in on national energy policy. It's a big opportunity for us. In many respects, it's our birthright as the largest professional school at the state's flagship research institution in an industry that's so important. A growing one for us, healthcare. You think energy is big, healthcare is over 18% of GDP. It's even bigger than energy on a national basis. It is an industry in disruption. The Affordable Care Act, I don't care what your politics are, whether you're for the Affordable Care Act, you're diametrically opposed to the Affordable Care Act, it is a moment in our nation's history where this beast of an economic force is transitioning. And oftentimes when you have deep regulatory change, you have tremendous business opportunity. Entrepreneurial cracks that aspiring business leaders can put themselves in the midst of capitalizing on. You have things like the digitization of healthcare records and the ability to move information electronically from one place to another to allow clinicians and business administrators to make better decisions that can increase healthcare outcomes or reduce healthcare costs. And so things like management information systems matter more than ever. The supply chain for healthcare. Maybe there's no other industry where supply chain matters more. The criticality of time of getting making the right decision or getting the right organ to the right recipient on time, perhaps so you can make a life-changing maneuver. How health organizations are financed, how they're accounted for, how we ensure clarity and transparency and visibility into the sanctity of this enormous piece of our economy. Because at the end of the day, our country today pays more per healthcare outcome, which is a measure of inefficiency, than virtually any other country in the world. We have to get a better bang for our buck. And isn't that at some level what business is all about? Driving productivity, driving efficiencies to create better outcomes, to satisfy customer needs in a way that can earn a fair return. And so our faculty at our first meeting this fall approved what will be forthcoming, a minor in healthcare administration, so that any undergraduate student at Price College and any undergraduate student across the university through an undergraduate certificate in healthcare has the opportunity to position him or herself toward a targeted career in this enormous industry with so much business opportunity. And there'll be more and more additional services and offerings around health as we move forward. So it's new for us, but it could not be more important. And oh, by the way, what are the health outcomes in Oklahoma? You can read a bunch of different surveys. I've never seen one that has us, outside of the, sort of the 40 to 50 range. So even as a state, we're largely unhealthy. And if you have an unhealthy populace, an unhealthy workforce, it's harder to get up and go to work every day and to drive the economy and create the economic development and that enduring global competitiveness that makes our purpose so important as we serve Oklahoma and the nation. See how it all ties? Okay, well, it's one thing to say you have a focus, even a laser-like focus on the issues that matter, and we do. But to move a state, to move a nation forward with something as bold as saying our purpose is to ensure the enduring global competitiveness of Oklahoma and the nation, you have to have something to say about it. You have to be able to add value. And I can tell you we do. Our faculty, increasingly working arm in arm with our students, generate business insights on the issues that matter. Valuable research that at both a basic and applied level, in the near term and over time, make our companies and other organizations more effective, more efficient, and more enduring. Our companies, on the back of business insights into the things that matter, can deliver stronger value propositions to their customers. They can do them more quickly with less administrative burden. And if we do both of those, then it ensures that they endure. Companies and great organizations can endure because they're becoming more effective and because they're becoming more efficient, because they have the benefit from the insights we generate. And what's important, in addition to that the insights are generated, is how they're generated. How our faculty are working with our students at the undergraduate, master's, and PhD level to generate those insights and to bring those insights into the classroom. It's a real differentiator for place-based higher education. Why I believe that there's still outsized value in coming to class and learning from world-class faculty and being on the cutting edge of these business insights on these important matters versus just being a passive student and trying to absorb some YouTube video and calling that an education. So not only is it about bringing those insights into class in an enhanced way, but it's also making sure that you're getting the value you deserve by choosing to spend multiple years of your lives and your tuition dollars in place-based higher education like what we offer at the Price College of Business at the University of Oklahoma. But when we tackle the big issues and we generate those business insights with those issues, students and faculty working arm in arm, what we're really doing is not driving toward one of those classic metrics, which is X number of degrees rewarded. That's what we do. Right? You will walk across the stage. All of you will walk across the stage, I hope, And I hope that I'm sitting there shaking your hand. Maybe I'll give you a hug. At least you'll get a good smile out of me. Right? And you're going to get that tangible what. But why we do this is to prepare you as a leader. Not just to give you the skills you need for your first job, but to prepare you as the leader you can be to get your last job and every job in between. And education is not just some transaction that occurs for some specified period of time for some predetermined amount of money. This is not transactional. This is transformational. The collective knowledge and experiences you acquire and build, sometimes through encounters with faculty, sometimes by meeting leaders from the private sector, sometimes by learning from one another. It's that composite, that tapestry that is your education. That gives you the ability to continue to evolve, to have ascending levels of responsibility, to be the leaders you can be. And not just the leaders we want, but I believe the leaders we need. If we're going to ensure the enduring global competitiveness of Oklahoma and our nation, we have to have leaders. We have to have lots of leaders. We have to have co-conspirators that can achieve such a bold purpose. And if we just relegate the Price College of Business experience to some kind of transaction, we focus just on the what, we'll never get there. We'll never move our state and nation forward the way we need to. We'll never fulfill the calling of public higher education as a public good that lifts all of society up. The benefits of which are not just embodied in the singular graduate. The public good is one where a society, a people invest in something that benefits everyone. It should not be relegated, the value should not just be relegated to a single soul. Higher education has a greater calling. Our college has a greater purpose. And if we don't prepare you as leaders, we'll never fulfill that purpose. But to do that, to really prepare you as a leader, we have to do these things. We have to foster an environment where there's access. We have to keep costs low. So regardless of whatever socioeconomic strata you might have come from, whether you're from a big city or a small city, whether you're a first-generation college student or your great-grandmother graduated from the University of Oklahoma or another institution, we have to create an environment where this type of experience, this transformational professional development experience, is open to all. It has to be inclusive. That's why scholarships are so important. We're working right now to raise a lot of money for the college and the university. A lot of that money is going to go to scholarships. We don't pay electric bills with scholarships. But what we do is allow students from all backgrounds, all geographies, to have an opportunity to pursue a world-class higher education. Being true to our commitment, you're going to prepare leaders. You have to find talent wherever it may lie. Privileged, unprivileged, traditional, non-traditional. We have to keep promoting innovative teaching models, increasingly putting you in a position to be battle-tested, battle-ready upon graduation. Things like the Integrated Business Corps, some of the internship opportunities, co-op programs, active learning environments where you're applying concepts in the classroom, not just learning the basics. Because at the end of the day, upon graduation, a Price College of Business degree holder has to be able to add value day one. Our brand promise cannot be, well, here is a student, and we've had this transaction, and they carry with them a sheepskin that says they graduated from the Price College. And you've hired them, and congratulations. Now you're going to spend the next 2 years training them to the point where then they can start being additive to your business. That's not a good deal for the company, and that's not a good deal for you. That's 2 years where you're just kind of getting up to speed when you could be adding value. You could be stretching yourself. You could be expressing new, interesting layers of leadership. You could be accomplishing things that you didn't even believe you could accomplish 2 years earlier. So why wait? I want you out of the gate and running. Because if you can add value day one, sooner you will, and Oklahoma will, and our country will be able to move forward. You'll be poised to move Oklahoma and our nation forward, as collectively you help fulfill the purpose of Price to ensure the enduring global competitiveness of Oklahoma and our nation. Now, we can talk about any specific program, what's going on in the college, but I have increasing levels of confidence that your experience, the totality of your experience, is going to map against this slide that represents today's Price College, a purpose-driven organization. Okay. I always believe that before you dig into content, something specific, you have to have context. Right? How does it fit? Why does it matter? What's my place in this whole deal? Well, this is context. And there's some meat in there. There's a lot of meat in there. There's a lot of content. But this is the context. You're not just the future leaders for our state and nation and world in many respects, but you're leaders of our college now. You're leading things like Service Day, how we're reaching out to the community. You're leading things like the Women in Business Leadership Conference. That's not something that some administrators leading or faculty members are leading. Students are leading. The SBA came to me about 6 weeks ago and said, Dean Pullin, we would really like to do more. In fact, we would like to, alongside staff and faculty and alumni, we'd like to give back as well. And so you may be hearing, may have already, some rumblings about putting together, for the first time at our college, a class gift. Being a part of really investing in the future of our college, the way the other leaders, the other stakeholders in our college are as well. And having a say about it. We believe this needs to happen. We'd like to see this. Because we know the purpose of Price. And we know how we fit. And we want to help. All of you in this room are leaders. Right? And wanted to open up the conversation as broadly as we could at a manageable size to make sure that we had the chance to talk about this. Because you represent so many more of our students. And you can now articulate why it is that maybe we're doing this. And you probably, I hope, should feel even more comfortable than ever before saying, this is working, let's do more of it. Or you know what, Dean Pullin, we're falling short here. We could do better. Or I've got this idea, and it may be crazy, but wouldn't it be interesting if? Right? All those things are being a leader. All those things are being a co-conspirator. And I want you to feel very comfortable in articulating your ideas, your concerns, and your dreams. I can help you a lot if I know them. Inadvertently, I can hurt you if I don't. And I can tell you there's nothing more important to me, having been a student at the Price College and having benefited from a lot of people, faculty and others, who cared about me and gave me the opportunity to believe in myself and giving me the confidence and access and network to pursue my own professional. Right? Everyone, if I look around leaders, you're already expressing yourself as leaders today. You will be starting companies. You will be running companies. You might be the next dean of the college. You don't know from your chair where you can go. And for me, I can't imagine not knowing what role I and our faculty and staff and alumni can play in helping you get there. So you've got to be comfortable sharing your ideas and your concerns. And I've got to be comfortable to respond and to be open enough to criticism and confident enough that if we're falling short that we can put the programs and resources in place to address them. Because that's what being a co-conspirator is all about. We're in it together. Okay, so we have a little bit of time left. I'd love to get feedback, questions. We can talk very specifically if we know what's going on in accounting, I can tell you what's going on in accounting. You want to know what's going on with employer development, I can talk about that. But I'd love to hear what's on your mind and continue the conversation. So, if there are any questions, yeah.
I've been trying to find out more about the business engineering program for a while, and I can't seem to find anybody that knows anything about it or who to talk to, what it is.
Sure, yeah. So you might be referring to our joint degree programs between some engineering undergraduate degrees and our MBA. Hopefully I'm in the right ballpark. We do have established agreement with our sister college, College of Engineering, where if you are an undergraduate petroleum engineering major or industrial engineering, maybe some others, that there is an accelerated, efficient pathway to earning your MBA degree. And so I'd be happy to give you all the specifics and orient you to the right person. It's going to be Associate Dean Laku Chidambaram, who is the Associate Dean for Academic Programs. And he oversees both our undergraduate academic programs and our graduate programs, and can really develop the efficiencies between the two. And so we can get you all the information you need on that. It's a wonderful, wonderful program.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Okay, very good. Other thoughts or reactions? Yeah, back there.
How is Price encouraging innovation in Congress?
So a lot of different ways. So certainly what we're doing in our entrepreneurship program and through some of those economic development organizations, really bringing enhanced business resources against the intellectual property that's created to create new companies, bring in capital, and doing it while providing a lot of real-world student internship opportunities. So you can roll up your sleeves, and maybe business students can work with engineering students and law students to help start these companies or raise this capital. So from a business building and create innovative knowledge-based companies perspective, we're really working hard on it. Physically, we're transforming a number of our environments to create even curricular innovation. So some of you may have walked through the first floor of Adams Hall today or this week and seen maybe a few chairs spilling out into the corridor, and there's this window, and it looks like maybe some new tables are going in. That's going to be the first technologically enhanced active learning classroom that we have in Price College. It's going to be in Adams Hall. And the idea is to take advantage of the power of technology to enhance learning outcomes. So this is the type of classroom where we could put, say, the basics of, business valuation online. Here's how you calculate the weighted average cost of capital for you finance majors. And online and on your time, you could hear our faculty discuss what the risk-free rate is, or what beta really means. And then you can go to that active learning classroom, and you can be put into groups around those horseshoe-like tables. And instead of hearing what the risk-free rate is, the faculty, our world-class faculty, can challenge you to apply it. And maybe we'll bring in a private sector, let's say a CFO, and we'll use a real capital project decision that company had to make. And each of the student groups will take some assumptions and put it into the model and come up with a perspective. Yes, we do the investment. No, we don't. And here's why. And then because you're in groups and because we have the flat panel displays and the wireless capabilities, you can throw your answer up on the board and you can stand and defend it. And then group B can do the same thing, and you can haggle and defend each other's position and collectively unlock group learning. So not only are you getting comfortable with the concepts, not only are you applying the concepts and seeing how real they can be, but you're enriching your oral delivery skills, your advocacy skills, your ability to work together with people with different perspectives. And isn't that what's really going to be required as you move forward in your careers as the future leaders we need to lead the great organizations of Oklahoma, the nation, and the world? So we're innovating that way as well.
The university's growing, obviously. We're now over 30,000 students, and at the second largest college in the university, we definitely feel that in Price. What kind of steps are they taking as far as expansion, dealing with these capacity issues? I know they're going to raise requirements, or what are some ways that we can still get that personal level of education whenever classroom sizes just seem to be growing?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's probably our most acute challenge, because as the value of Christ College education grows, so does the desire. It's just a market principle for students to apply for a degree candidacy in the Christ College. In fact, we're up 12% just since 2012. And the university is growing, of course, but we're growing perhaps even more rapidly. And so making sure that we have the right level of resources to meet that demand and the right curriculum to meet that demand is a very delicate balance. I firmly believe public higher education is just that. It's a public good. We have to ensure an environment that's inclusive and accessible. And so I believe that if there's a student at the University of Oklahoma that can be successful, that has the aptitude and will, right, the work ethic, to be successful in a program that's as rigorous as ours, increasingly rigorous as ours, then we have to find ways to ensure that the door to opportunity stays open. And so that may mean over time, as we strengthen the rigor of our program, our admission requirements do go up, because it's a disservice for students that maybe aren't as well positioned to be successful in our program, to put them through the program, because that could be a negative outcome for the student and perhaps an inefficient use of scarce resources for the college. But I don't think that's the go-to answer, is just to close the door to opportunity by haphazardly raising admissions requirements, absent a commensurate increase in the rigor of our program. And so we have to do a lot of things to resource the college, to capitalize the college, such that we can provide a world-class education to everyone that is willing and capable. And so that means I'm on a lot of airplanes. I'm working with alumni and increasingly corporations to raise money, to hire more faculty, to renovate the classrooms of the future, to make sure that the quality of experience stays high. It also means that we act more entrepreneurially. We think about new academic offerings for new categories of learners that maybe can bring in additional tuition dollars. I know this is very business oriented, but heck, we're a college of business, right? That can bring in new tuition dollars that previously we weren't able to acquire, that can then be reinvested in more faculty, better classrooms, increasingly rigorous program that does a better job, the best job possible of preparing you as future leaders. So there's no silver bullet. It's a totality of the circumstances. But I would say that it is one of the most crucial issues for us to get right.
Okay, well, so I'm a part of the entrepreneurship club here, and a problem I run into is when we're telling people about our club, they will say, oh, well, I'm not an entrepreneurship major, or I'm not a business major, so why should I come to your club? And I want to figure out a way to market our club to every student, no matter what major they are. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, so the answer may lie in the class I'm teaching right now this fall. It's called Career Paths in Entrepreneurship. And the class is structured to show our students over the course of a semester 14 different ways to be an entrepreneur, only one of which involves starting a company. And a lot of these career paths involve working for an existing established company. You could be an accountant in an existing established company and have the opportunity to be entrepreneur, to be a real innovator, to figure out ways to creatively solve problems, to move a company or a part of a company forward. At some level, a classic definition of an entrepreneur is he or she who controls resources they do not own. Right? So it's the entrepreneur who can put these 5 or 6 different pieces together. Maybe they're different people or links of a supply chain together without having to control the whole system. But is thinking, what do I need to do to align the incentives of each component to collectively orchestrate them to act in a particular way to achieve a collective outcome that enriches all. Well, that actually could apply to any job in any discipline, and it's called adding value. Seeing things creatively, seeing opportunities where others don't, putting them together in new and interesting ways that gives a company or part of a company an edge. And so I think I could market the entrepreneurial mindset to any student in the Price College. And I could even take it a step further and probably market it to any student at the University of Oklahoma. I'll give you a great example. I interviewed for an internship opportunity 3 years ago at the Center for the Creation of Economic Wealth, a piano performance major. And we were looking at the time for interns who would be a part of a team that was going to commercialize carbon nanotubes. Right? These, I guess nanoscopic maybe is the word. These nanoparticles that would go into composites to make certain things stronger and more durable and so on and so forth. And so I'm looking across the table at this piano performance major, and I asked him the question. We're talking about commercializing nanoparticles here. Why am I talking to you? And he looked at me and he goes, you don't get it. I'm nothing if not the ultimate entrepreneur. All I have is my name, my brand, my talent. What do I need to do to market the business of me as a performer? How do I know how to put together a deal with my manager? Or to make sure I don't get taken at the door for the cover charge at my next performance? Or that I have a really good distribution opportunity for CDs and digital downloads? I have to know entrepreneurship, even though my skill is playing the piano, even though my skill is being an accountant or building financial models. So I think you've got a real opportunity to tap into the broad spectrum of students here at the university. Because at the end of the day, everyone is going to pursue a career path. And the more entrepreneurial you can make your career path, regardless of discipline, the better chance you have to make an outsized impact on the world. Good question. Back there.
Yeah, this is my first semester here. I know I've been working the last 12 years. My question is there leadership programs that are in place, and are there any new ones developing that kind of foster leadership growth as opposed to managerial focus?
So there are a number of leadership programs. Some have leadership in the title. One of the most long established one is our J.C. Penney leadership program for undergraduates, and we can give you more information on that. Many of you in the room are probably a part of that program, and maybe even through meeting a few of your classmates you can talk about what that's like. But I can argue that the breadth of student organizations provide leadership opportunities, right? You're working together, you're setting goals, you're achieving those goals. That's incredible on-the-job training, if you will, in largely a low-risk environment that gives you something differentiated to say when you're in that job interview and there's 12 other people behind you and they ask you, why should I hire you? You can raise your hand and you say, I've done this, and here is the impact. And oh, by the way, don't limit yourself to what exists today. If there's something missing, this student organization, this important initiative, this speaker series, whatever, stand up. Start it. Be entrepreneurial. And let me know how I can help you. Because I'm committed to creating the most embarrassingly delightful student experience that's filled with equal parts academic rigor as well as professional and personal experience that prepares you to move our state and nation forward in an enduring way at global scale. One last question. I think we're at the witching hour. Yes, back there.
So what is Price doing to improve recruiting relationships to promote jobs for students that don't have a very clear or direct career path? So the students that maybe are at the finance and management majors, I know we have a ton of really strong local partnerships with those types of companies, but outside there, what are we doing to improve those other relationships?
So a few things. Some are curricular, some are more employer development in nature. We've added resources. We have a woman named Brenda Peters, who is our employer development coordinator, who had spent a number of years in OU's career services function, who now devotes her time working arm in arm with career services to the Price College. And we ask her in a lot of respects to go out and hunt for new aspirational employers that maybe haven't recruited here historically, and to work with our faculty leadership and student leadership to identify who those names are and then put our best foot forward, because I think we have a best foot to put forward given the breadth of talent we have at the team level and how we prepare you to add value day one. So we're trying to bring more companies to recruit here than ever before. And I think last year we added 24 new employers from all over the country to recruit at Price College. Really pleased with that uptick. And then curricularly, we're doing things like the healthcare minor, like the sports management concentration. As just two examples where you might be, say, a general management major or a marketing major. But what if you were a marketing major with a minor in healthcare? Now you're talking about healthcare marketing. Now you're opening up things like pharmaceutical sales and medical devices. The totality of career path starts to broaden and widen immediately when you start thinking about orienting through some specialty programs that sit on top of some of our traditional degrees. All right, I know that's our formal time. We all have classes and midterms and everything. Thank you for spending this hour with me. I'll try to hang out just for a few more minutes if any of you have some specific questions, and then you know the door's always open in the dean's office. I do work very hard to be as accessible as possible. Have a great afternoon.